Right, what's up everyone? Back with another video today on leg training and how we can build big juicy quads and hams and the best way to go about it. Now, again, just the way people will organise their leg training. And first off, actually well done if you are training legs, because a lot of people just skip legs totally and don't even train legs. So if you're actually training legs, you're onto a winner anyway. But there's a couple of ways that we can go about organising our leg training to get the most out of it. Okay, so again, what's on the board here is just an example. This is not set in stone. This is not the only way to do it. There's many different ways to go about training legs. I'm just going to give you a couple of guidelines and basic principles that we need to follow in order to have a successful leg training program. A couple of exercise selections and rep ranges, and just going over a couple of things with that. Okay, so first thing you probably notice is the split. It's split into two days, so the frequency is twice a week. Okay, so we're going to be hitting our legs of a Monday and then of a Thursday again. And this is just an example of how you could work things. Now, the main reason we want to be hitting the muscle group is twice a week. It's just so we can promote that anabolic signal, and twice a week we've got 2 opportunities per week to actually stimulate it, to give the body the stimulus to grow. The more that we can do that to a point, the better. Again, that's why I say this is just an example. People can train quads up to 3 times a week, but that genuinely depends on your program management and how you work around that. Again, we're just going to go with 2 times per week frequency just for the sake of this video. 2 times to 3 times a week frequency is going to be a lot better than 1 time per week frequency. Have more frequent bouts of exposure to the stress, more stimulus, more opportunities to grow, as I say. So that's why higher frequency is better to a point. You're not just going to go and train quads 5 days a week. There is a point of diminishing return. So we go with 2 days a week. Now, down here is the weekly total sets that we have for both quads and hamstrings. Now that is a big factor. That's why we're trying to split them into 2 days. Now we have the day 1, Monday, and day 2, because we're trying to hit our weekly volume in 2 sessions. Now, what does that do? A couple of things. It just gives us higher set quality, okay? And again, another opportunity for growth, because if we hit 6 to 8 sets of quads here, and then we go out to the gym, we sleep, we recover, we eat our food to let the muscles recover and repair, and then we come back again, hit them on the first day again, another stimulus, more high quality sets, and more potential for growth, instead of just hitting all of our sets in one day, what the typical bro split does. So that's why we would split it into 2 sessions at least per week. Okay, now let's get into the actual organisation of the session. Now, again, a couple of the big things that I see a lot of people fuck around with in the gym. It's too much volume, too much shite, too much fluff, and not training with enough intensity. So someone might look at this and think 3, 6, 9, 12. We're only doing 12 sets for legs. Oh, my leg training sessions like to be 30 sets. If anyone's doing 30 sets for a leg training session, you're just, quite frankly, you're not training hard enough. There's absolutely no way you can be training within a good enough intensity that's actually needed and required to spark growth. So stop kidding yourself. So let's get into it. So first exercise, again, these are just examples. These are not set in stone. So flat squat. So raised heel, named after Tom Platt's close stance squat. We get an extra range of motion on the quads. 3 sets of 8 at an RP 8. You probably understand what RP is. I've got videos on RP as well. It's a metric to measure your intensity. So RP 8 basically means we're 2 reps in the tank. So we're in that zone of where we need to be for optimal hypertrophy and stimulating all the growth that we need. So 3 sets of 8 flat squats. There's 3 good sets of quad work done. Stiff leg deadlifts, 3 sets of 8 and RP 8. Again, 3 very stimulative hamstring sets. Smith machine Bulgarian split squats, 3 sets of 12 and RP 9. So you might have 1 rep in the tank. And then hamstring curls, 3 sets of 15 at 9. Now, a couple of things. That's 6 sets of quads and 6 sets of hamstrings, all within that 0 to 3 reps in reserve mark. That's enough for us to actually stimulate growth. Any less than that, we're not going to get anything out of it. The reason for hamstring curls as well is that, as we know, the hamstring is a biarticulate muscle. It crosses both the hip and the knee. Now we need both knee flexion and we also need hip extension in order to fully develop the hamstring. So that's why we have hip extension based movements here in a stiff leg deadlift, and then the hamstring curl with the knee flexion based movements. Something very similar to quads, which I will get into on the next day. Now, as I said, 6 quality sets for quads and 6 quality sets for hamstrings. That's going to be more than enough, okay? Now, maybe as you progress through a training block, you could add a set. You could make that 4 sets and 4 sets of split squats, and eventually you could creep up to maybe 8 sets of quads for that warehouse and maybe 8 sets of hamstrings. Maybe. Again, you don't have to do this, but this is the type of sort of volume range that you need to be thinking. I may actually work hard enough, because 12 hard sets of leg training, let me tell you, if you've done this and you've done this properly, that's going to be more than enough to actually stimulate any sort of growth in your quads and hamstrings, and then you get out, recover, and then we come back again for day 2. Now, day 2, hack squat, 3 sets of 10, very simple, locked into a machine. We can have more force production in the machine. Again, we know all the benefits of hack squats. Romanian deadlift, very similar to a stiff leg deadlift, but it's just that we have the extra, the weighted stretch, and we don't touch the floor with the Romanian deadlift like we do with the stiff leg. Also, the Romanian deadlift starts from the top, whereas the stiff leg will start from the floor. Slightly different movements, but both phenomenal for the whole posterior chain. Leg extension. Now, why have we got leg extensions in? Now, again, the quadricep has 4 heads. The head, the rectus femoris, that crosses both the hip and the knee joint. Now, we can only really isolate the rec fem in absence of the hip, with any sort of hip movement, any sort of hip flexion or hip extension. So we need to be locked into the machine, and all we can have is just knee flexion happening. That's the only way to really target and isolate the rec fem, because the rec fem will sort of be switched off when we do any sort of squats or any sort of leg press or split squat movements. So to really isolate and really build that rec fem, you need leg extensions or something like a sissy squat, where again, just that knee extension is prioritised without the hip moving, okay? So that's why we've got leg extensions in there. Now, on the second day, I've got an option of either you can have more hamstring curls or another hamstring exercise or another quad exercise, because what I tend to find is that a lot more people are going to need more weekly quad volume than weekly ham volume, just because the hamstrings are very fast twitch by nature, they fatigue very fast, and sometimes even as low as 6 to 8 sets per week, like 6 to 8 very hard sets on hamstrings, that's more than enough for growth. Sometimes people require more quad volume, just because the quads can be very resistant to any sort of growth in comparison to the hamstrings, so that's why I've got the option here. Your hamstrings could be toast, and your hamstrings could be good to go after the 6 sets here and just 3 sets here, so that'll be 9 total sets of hamstring curls. But your quads may need a little bit more work, so you can add in on the second day, you could add in an extra quad exercise to the hamstring curl here, okay? Again, there's just so many rabbit holes to go down with training and the nuance of an individual, what their strengths, their weak points are, what the main goal is. But again, this is just an overview and an idea of how you can split your training, because, as I said, the worst thing that someone can do is just waste their time doing excessive shite in the gym. I just think, well, that's one big waste of time, that. So I guarantee you a lot of people was just to follow this actual template and actually train hard and just focus on these 4 movements here, 4 movements here, for example, and focusing on actually getting stronger on these over the course of 6 to 8 months, beating your logbook, beating your performance from the week before, consistently doing that, just always trying to move the needle forward in your favour, always trying to do that with a good selection of movements. You're going to get stronger, you're going to get bigger, okay? You're going to get where you need to be. And then there's so many things that we could talk about what you could do after this stops to work. Again, you've got variation, you can change the movements, you can change the rep ranges, but that's the topic for another video. I just wanted to give you an outline of what how a leg training plan would actually look, because we talk a lot of how to train our legs and exercise, but you never actually see an actual good plan in place like this and how you would do it, okay? So just think, good execution of 4 exercises per warehouse, for example, is going to be a lot better than just doing 8 exercises, 10 exercises with just lots of sets of shite. It does nothing, okay? Focus on getting a couple of movements in and really nailing them hard, so you're going to get a lot out of it, okay? So what about calves? Everyone talks about calves, okay? Personally, I hit calves on my upper body days. Sometimes I will go in the gym and I will do some calves, and it might take me 3 to 5 minutes when I first go in the gym. You've got seated calf raises, Smith machine calf raises, standing calf raises, on the leg press, the leg toe press, whatever you want to call it. Again, it can take a couple of minutes to train calves. You can even train them supersetted with an upper body movements if you really wanted to. So for example, you could be training bench press on an upper body day. You can do a set of bench press and superset that with some seated calf raises, and it doesn't take away from your upper body training. It's just an easy way to get some calf work in there, okay? Calves are not as demanding as all of this stuff, but what the mistake is that people make with calves is that they throw calves in at the end of a leg training session when you're already pretty fatigued, and calves just always get the shitty end of the stick. So that's why I never put calves at the end of leg training. If you want to do that and your calves are really big anyway, you can do that, that's fine. But I think calves are better on a separate day, or just, as I say, supersetted with some upper body work. They literally take 5 minutes to train. It's not that hard, okay? So that's just an overview. Again, the key is progression and beating your numbers with all of this stuff, being ruthlessly consistent, making sure that your nutrition and sleep is on point with all of this stuff. And you're going to grow some big legs. It's simple and effective, no need to complicate it, okay? Again, they are just examples of exercises. There's many different routes that we could go with all of this stuff, but again, it's just good for you to see a plan on why we have certain exercises there, rep ranges, for example, RPEs, all that stuff. Again, just have a little look at that, and that's going to set you straight. Now, if you are someone who's doing like 8 to 10 exercises per leg training session, have a little think. You need to check your intensity. Doing something like this is going to give you better gains, I can guarantee you. Okay, so let me know what you think. Just drop any questions you have for me below, and I'll get another video up very soon. Talk to you soon.